Humanity has a collective identity crisis. And it is this case of mistaken identity which is the root of much of our discord and suffering. And when we come to consider and know ourselves as something more than these bodies that we inhabit, we discover a shared universal consciousness which is more true, more real and unending than any of the roles or stories we've come to believe that we are. This idea, this big idea, didn't come from my mind with its agenda. It came from that quiet space beyond thought, popped in one night while I was trying to sleep, like the keys you find when you stop looking. I'm a purpose and visibility coach, and having worked with founders over 20 years, thousands of them, through workshops helping them to peel back their mission to its essence, I realized that beneath the different missions, all very different, many of them were pointing people back to the same thing, leading people back to our shared oneness. And what was interesting about this realization is that I never set out with a theory to either prove nor disprove. And yet the realization was clear. There are only two ways to exist. Camp 1, where our sense of self reveals itself from within as we chip away at these layers of identity we've acquired. And Camp 2, where our sense of self is shaped from external programming and culture. Inside out, where life is an expression, and outside in, where life is essentially a performance. And yet, of course, the most compelling data to support this big idea has come through me living it myself. Picture this and circle back 2 years. I was 43. From a challenging start in life, having been expelled from school at 15, becoming a mother at 18, I'd gone on to become one of the youngest people in the country to be honoured by King Charles for services to entrepreneurship with an MBE. Hard work, grit, and the support of many. Through achievement, I'd built an identity which wallpapered over the shame which I had unconsciously carried around about my past for many years. Achievement enabled me to feel like I fit, like I was enough. It gave me this false sense of control. And yet, of course, we can never truly be in control. 3 years ago, a deeply personal loss became the domino that would topple the deck. The script I'd built for my life, complete with idyllic move to tropical island and happy ever after ending, fell apart. I returned to the UK to move into my mum's spare bedroom. Months of applying for roles that my credentials and experience should have commanded, and not even an interview. I'd come back to the UK in chronic pain. A haze of inconclusive hospital tests had taken me to my edges and had me facing my mortality. I'd awake each morning in pain, and this was a really dark time for me. But life had taught me by this point that these periods of real challenge in our life can be periods of potent transformation. One evening, November, 5:30 in dark, walking through West London, I stopped in front of a shop. "Recruiting," said the sign. Behind it, rows of multicolored saucepans and pots were lit up against the evening night sky. The pot shop, as I'd come to affectionately call it, was warm and inviting. Until that moment, it hadn't even occurred to me that working in a shop was available to me as an option because it didn't fit my script. A script which had up until that moment been filled with inclusion on magazine power lists, a high-flying client roster, and invitations to number 10 Downing Street. And yet life stopped me in my tracks. I paused, stepped inside, took a breath, and said what needed to be said. "Hello, I'm looking for a job. I've had a change of circumstances, and while I don't have retail experience, I'm good with people." "Send over your CV," she said. I left that store alive with life in a way that was magnificently greater than stainless steel pots and a £12 an hour salary. And so began the most precious 6-month, not the most, one of the most precious 6-month chapters of my life. It was humbling, nervous system soothing, simple. Ambition and achievement had been my socially acceptable drug. They kept me chasing the next win. But in the pot shop, I had no wish to rise through the ranks, and so I began to experience the power in the present moment, the miracles in the seemingly mundane. And as I let go of enough of my identity to accept the reality of the present moment, I unknowingly plugged back into the flow of life. This flow of consciousness that has a plan for our lives so much greater than that of our own agenda. So there I was, 43, back in the house I'd grown up in, worldly possessions stacked around against the corners. Divorced, single, on paper, it had all fallen apart. And yet I was filled with truth and power like never before. One morning, I awoke to find this chronic nerve pain I'd had for 10 months was completely gone. Gone like it had never been there. Not long after, the phone rang. A contact from 20 years earlier inviting me onto a project with one of the world's biggest stars, an entertainment leader who I'd interned for 25 years earlier. I resigned from the pot shop with huge gratitude in my heart and some gorgeous pots. And weeks later, I was on a private jet with the same client headed to work. So why does this matter? This big idea, which isn't mine, I'm just one of many who shared it through their unique lens. Because this idea is the medicine. It has the capacity to help us make the distinction between life as expression and life as performance. And it means that when life serves as challenge, be it divorce, death, illness, loss of any kind, and a version of who we've known ourselves to be crumbles, we can see it for what it is. Transformation. Often painful, yes, but sacred. The space beyond identity is the birthplace of freedom. It's where masterpieces, both on canvas and within our own lives, are liberated to be created. It enables us to see the limitations of binary and linear thinking, better, worse, good, bad, and this idea that success is always a steady ascent toward bigger and more. It's revealed and exposed for the illusion that it is. And this idea is not new. Throughout time, mystics, scientists, cultural icons have alluded to it. Buddha said, "Nothing exists as a singular independent entity." Einstein said, "The human being experiences himself as separate from the rest, a sort of optical delusion of his consciousness." And Bob Marley, "One love, one heart." I'm not suggesting that we abandon identity. It can serve us. Many of us feel a healthy pride about our culture and heritage and the stories and traditions that are passed from generation to generation. Those are precious. But identity is transient, impermanent, changeable. And freedom begins when we sort of see it as a bit like a costume that we get to wear, but recognize that we are not it. Maya Angelou said, "Freedom begins when we realize we belong no place. We belong every place, no place at all. The price is high, but the reward is great." Right now, people are clinging to identity and the often extreme beliefs that can come with it more tightly than ever. And the consequence is separation, warfare, destruction, and the tragedy is that it's a root of mistaken identity at the heart of it. This idea is not something to believe in, it's something to live, and exploring it has the potential to transform the way we exist together. The starting point? Holding a little less tightly to these identities, questioning, who am I really? It takes courage. Like Maya Angelou said, the price is high, but the reward is beyond our comprehension. We are so much more than who we think we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Beautifully honest and a true reminder that sometimes the hardest person to meet is ourselves.